Hello everyone. In this video I want to make a VOD review where I look at my own gameplay, a recording of my own gameplay as DPS Bladesworn, and I want to showcase how one can gain some information from a replay and how one can improve as a DPS player as a result. Before we start, I want to make transparent that this is a group that I found over the LFG. They have not agreed to be in this video, and this group, they don't have kill proof, like it was just an all welcome group and some of the players are really inexperienced. We're looking at my gameplay and my gameplay alone to figure out what I could be doing better. And I think this is an important attitude to have when you pack. You cannot change other players or only in very minimal ways with things that give immediate feedback. Obviously, some of the mistakes I made would be mitigated if other people were doing something differently to accommodate for my mistake. But generally, when you play alone, you want to be focused on yourself. And we will look through these POVs. We first look through Veilguardian, Gorse I, and then Sab I in order. And we just want to first tackle surface level stuff, like am I hitting the boss? Am I dodging mechanics correctly? Am I CCing, etc. And as a Bladesworn, key thing is to do cartridges, Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger, stuff like that. Dragon Trigger is like 70% of my damage, so I'm doing just a classic opener of Bladesworn. Is basically the same as on the Golem until here, where I cancel a Sword 3 with a Pistol 5 by accident. But yeah, this is basically P1. And what you notice here is that I'm using a Dragon Trigger while the boss was already phased, which is not ideal. Obviously, it would have been better to end the phase actually attacking rather than charging an attack that never comes to fruition. And this is something you can also take to heart on condi builds, that you don't use big long condis in the second the boss phases and goes invulnerable. In the split phase here, for some reason I use a Dragon Trigger here, but now I can only use this last one for CC. I could have just saved that skill and instead use Gun Saber 3 for CC. Pretty much the same effect, but less wasteful of a big cooldown. And now we start with P2. I think P2 is the way I want to be playing this. I have a double cartridge here, it's empowered. I use Dragon Spike Mine slightly in the wrong direction. I'm ending up in a Seeker. I can tank it as a warrior, but it's not ideal. Should have went in a different direction. I step out of these teleport circles. This is really your main task on Veilguardian, to never get ported. Just always step out or blink out or whatever you need to do. And yeah, and you see here that I didn't bother charging Dragon Trigger anymore when the boss was already phasing. So I just ended it with auto attacks, which is pretty much the optimal choice there. Instead, now I use my Pistol 5 into an invulnerable target. It doesn't do any damage. Then I do a Dragon Spike Mine into Dragon Trigger for CC, which is just super wasteful. Now I use my Gun Saber ability here. Gun Saber 3, so I don't have CC anymore here. But I still hit, I think, with the Dragon Trigger. And next, I blink to follow the boss. Use Dragon Spike Mine in the wrong direction, I have to blink again. And that's not ideal. I barely survive it, but it's okay. I don't get ported at least. I have to blink to chase the boss. And yeah, now the boss nears the end. I make sure that I get some more Dragon Triggers in. I look at the boss HP, I see I can do Dragon Trigger, Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger. And indeed, at 1% I hit with the last Dragon. So yeah, that's Veilguardian already. You see me blink in place very often. And that's due to my relic choice on Bladesworn, the relic of Patha. It says that whenever you blink for the next 4 seconds, you do more damage to the target that is hit by the attack that is fired by the blink. You should just read through Relic of Patha to clarify that. And Relic of Patha also has a 4-second internal cooldown. So what you try to do is always try to blink before a Dragon Trigger. And problem is that it has an ICD, so I have to blink early and now I have to blink late So both of the dragon triggers get a Payfa relic proc. I blink late on both, or late on the first and early on both. On the second one, I don't get a Payfa proc on the second one, for example, which is just a 10% DPS loss for that dragon trigger. One thing you can notice that I delayed my Gunsaber 3 for some CC. You see I'm in the CC meter, I did 300 CC, which is okay. There's no real way to use a dragon trigger into that break border, so it's fine. Here I just finish off the ad. I'm a power class, so I can't leave before the ad is dead. And here I use a Dragon Spike Mine, because I don't want to fire it on the ad, I just use it on the boss instead. The next dragon trigger. And the new phase starts. I camp Gunsaber for a little bit. And now that my Dragon Spike Mine comes off cooldown, I swap back to Sword Pistol. Use a cartridge to make it empowered. These three are now empowered cartridges. And I can do a full combo. Sadly, I don't have a blink here anymore for my last dragon trigger. A bit unfortunate. But then I can do another blink and finish off boss. So far I'm doing a good job not hitting the invulnerable target. Now here I make a mistake. I use Dragon Spike Mine here, even though this ad is now dead. And I have to dash over, which is a damage loss, obviously. And I'm doing a much worse mistake now. I start charging the dragon trigger. But then I have to use Dragon Strike 3 to like cleave this other ad. Then I'm stuck on Gunsaber now, and the Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger, and now I'm Sword Pistol. And now I'm stuck on Gunsaber. And I waste my Gunsaber 3, so I'm not using any CC here, which is quite bad of me. So some people are actually under pressure from that. Luckily we have very good healers who keep us safe. And yeah, that's Gorse I. I managed to not get egged here by just walking out of them. Nice. And do one last dragon trigger to complete the fight. And finally for Sab I, the thing will be to not stand inside her hitbox, because if you stand closest to her, you get a time bomb that you have to carry out. Now some DPS build will not mind, but on Bladesworn it's really bad if you have to carry it out while you charge a dragon trigger. So, I make sure to just not be the closest to Sab I. Most of the time it works fine. I do get 2 bombs later on in the fight. So far it's Golem Opener, and it's working quite well. Notice that I didn't blink here. That's because if I do a normal dragon trigger and blink right at the end, I trigger Payfa late. And then if I have my elite skill, it speeds up the next dragon trigger so much that you can get 2 dragon triggers into the same Payfa relic proc, which saves me 1 blink, so I have more ammunition for down the line. For example, now I was able to use that ammunition, would not have been up had I not done this correctly earlier. And this is really a main challenge of Sab I. Yeah, I get a bomb, by the way. This is really main challenge of Sab I. It's quite a long fight, 4 minutes, where you don't really have a break. Okay, you have these 5 seconds of immunity between, but we're a resource-intensive class with research management. It's quite challenging to maintain all those resources for the full fight. And you see that down the line, I will eventually run out of resources, which causes me to drop Payfa relic uptime for dragon triggers. And at one point, I even run out of flow stabilizers, so I don't have any flow, and my dragon trigger is really weak as a result. This is just something to keep in mind with longer fights. On the Veil Guardian, which is just 2.5 minutes, and you have big long breaks between the phases, it's a lot more forgiving than here, where it's just non-stop fighting, right? Here I do an especially bad Dragon Spike Mine, where I'm out of range and now miss completely. Now the ad is still alive, and at 2% health it knocks us up. Had I hit with this dragon trigger, this would not have happened. So this is very clearly something I can do better. Before I use Dragon Spike Mine, make sure that I'm actually on the hitbox of the target. So my follow-up dragon trigger actually hits even if I don't spend a blink on it. So yeah, normally I do this quite correctly, and at that moment I had it also like the awareness. So now I will not repeat this mistake. I do make other mistakes though, which we will talk about in more detail after. But for now, what's important is to take a look at the last phase, how I played that last phase. Because in the last phase, runs can quickly destabilize. You see that you have 2 cannons up, and this means there's a lot of damage pressure here. And if one stands inside the flamethrower or inside these cannons, things go south very quickly. So I decide to sidestep there to stay at full health as much as possible. This means that other people, if you're full health, you're not getting hit by healing skills. So other people will get the healing instead. Here I face tank it because I'm in a dragon trigger. But yeah, you should, whenever there's like a big damage AoEs like that, you should sidestep as much as possible, not just for your own benefit, but also to make sure that your teammates will get prioritized by the healing. So yeah. And then we're nearly at the end. Here I run out of flow. I do a measly 95k dragon trigger, which is definitely not worth it. Luckily, I recover the flow for the next part. Get a bomb here. Have to carry it out. Charge another dragon trigger. And the boss dies before I unleash it. So that's not an ideal ending to the fight. But that's just how it works sometimes. Okay, with this superficial point of view on what I've done so far, now it's time to really dive a bit deeper in each of the fights and actually make some points that may not be obvious for everyone at least, and they are certainly not always obvious for myself. And let's take a look where we can get with that. So let us now take a more detailed look, and I think what you have to do first, you have to comprehend what a Bladesworn rotation tries to do. For this, you can also check out the Snowcrow's rotation page. Basically, the way it works is we're going to look at phase 1 here, and you see it. I have used my explosive cartridge twice, so these explosion attacks will now be very strong, much stronger than normal. And I go into Dragon Trigger. I use Dragon Trigger, Dragon Spike, Mine, and another Dragon Trigger. And the Patha Relic on the second is procced with another blink here. Where I have to blink rather late. At this point, I blink into a blue circle, which I have to step out of immediately. Avoid getting ported. Yeah. Then I spend some time on Gunsaber. Now I engage another cartridge, and this cartridge will last me to the end of the sword pistol set. So now the cartridge is still live, and it's like about to time out, but I just use another cartridge here. And now I can do a combo with Dragon Spike Mine, where these are empowered cartridges. So yeah, that's basically the rotation. And this is always what we try to repeat in each phase, because it leads to the maximum damage. But alright, let's take a look at what we're actually doing, and if it's optimal or not. So the start of the phase is clearly suboptimal. The boss is in the middle, but I'm standing out here. Problem is, if I go closer, the boss, I'm not getting any boons. And the boss doesn't have vulnerability while he's there because everyone else is standing here. So there's not much I could do better here. So I just wait, use this time for my precast, cast my cartridges twice, etc. And then I open with a pistol 5. So far, I think it's uncontroversial what I'm doing. I blinked a bit late for that second dragon trigger. It caused me to be at 10 charges for quite a while. Let's quickly watch it again. So we are reaching 10 charges now and blink after, and only after we blink the unleashed. If I just blink when I have 9 charges and then release after, this would have been... Alright, but then here I play this correctly. I dodge backwards slightly in panic. Sort of fine. Cancel my sword 3 with a pistol 5, not ideal. And here I make a big mistake. I unleash this dragon trigger, yes. But the boss is about to phase. And the golem rotation dictates to now go dragon spike mine into another dragon trigger. But what I should do instead is dragon spike mine just for the direct damage it does. And then use gun saber abilities to... Certainly not charge a dragon trigger, that will never hit. Because now I've expended all these resources for no benefit whatsoever. I clipped the seek. So yeah, P1 kind of went wrong for that reason. Could be more optimal at the end of it. And for the phase 2, or rather for the split phase, here I correctly identify that I don't want to Dragon Spike Mine, because if I do Dragon Spike Mine, I can charge the next Dragon Trigger, but I can't actually hit it on the ad anymore, because by then it will be dead already. Thing is that I do this exact mistake now, where I Dragon Spike Mine even later, and just use it for CC, which, well, it's not that bad, but obviously now I start the phase as Dragon Spike Mine on a cooldown, and had I not done that, I could instead start with Dragon Trigger, Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger. That being said, this start is a bit, again, the problem that we start on the outside, it wasn't too bad. Here I make an actual mistake. I Dragon Spike Mine into that direction when I should Dragon Spike Mine over there. I now face tank the damage from a Seeker. Luckily I'm quite tanky and the green had already exploded. Otherwise this could be catastrophic. Stepping out of the blue correctly. I think most of this phase was fine. I end the phase with auto-attacking. Obviously, this is a damage loss for a Bladesworn to have this kind of ending. It would be much better to be able to end the phase with a Dragon Trigger, or have the boss phase a few seconds after Dragon Trigger, rather than waiting 8 more seconds and then phasing. But I can't control that from my position. So I did what I could in this. So for that reason, I'm quite happy with how I played this second phase. I'm not happy with how the split phase works. I said it already, I use my pistol 5 too early here. It just doesn't do damage. Then I do a Dragon Trigger, also not for full damage. And then I use a Dragon Trigger with a Paper Relic proc, actually. Like, I actually spend a charge of my Dragon Trigger 5 ammunition just for CC. So you can take another look here. And I just Paper Relic blinked. And if I later on don't have a blink for it, it's because of that. Yeah, here, this is fine what I'm doing. I think I'm very close to the middle, dropping the blue here. Now I have to blink over there to not get ported, which does work out. Problem is only afterwards. Now the Paper Relic goes on a 4-second ICD, right? When I Dragon Spike Mine this way, I should have went that way, so I'm closer to the boss. I blink too early. My Paper Relic is still on cooldown, so this doesn't actually send out another Paper proc, and I don't get a 10% boost from this. And this Dragon Trigger is just weaker than it should be. Doing that, I stand in a Seeker, which is not ideal. Green explodes, I nearly die. But I didn't, luckily. And then the rest is just cleaning up the boss. And here I make another mistake. I do have empowered charges, these are stronger. But I waste some time casting another charge of cartridges, just resetting them. That's not ideal. Like, these are fresh cartridges now. But I could have already entered the dragon trigger early. So now I only hit right at the end. It did work in the end, but this was basically this last phase I could have played better. Starting from here, obviously. But yeah. So the key points to summarize for Veil Guardian are at 66% to not get baited into doing another dragon trigger, even though it fit the golem rotation maybe. Here, be mindful of Payfa Relic actually hitting. It's a projectile that starts from the location where you're blinking from. So if you're far away from the boss, it might not hit the boss and not empower you. I should have used the Dragon Spike Mine in a different direction to ensure the hit. And I should not have blinked that early because it was still on cooldown. And then here I just waste the cartridge at the end. Things like that. But overall, I think this Veil Guardian, it was fine, right? It was just not exceptionally good. I think on Gorse I we have a few more things to figure out. It has to do with how we play the split phases. First, though, about the first phase. What's really cool about Gorse is we can run up to the boss with a opening combo where I just press my ammunition skills there, get flow going. So this is like a very good golem opener opportunity, right? Yeah, I blinked a bit late. It was just a time waste. What I'm doing well is that I'm delaying my Gunsaber 3, so it actually hits within the break bar. And then the rest of the phase is just standard golem stuff. I think I'm doing quite decently at that. Here, this is a late blink. So I don't need a blink here. Both Peta procs into the same... both Dragon triggers into the same Peta proc. And now the split phase starts. So far, I'm happy with it. But now the problems start. This here is fine. But what's not fine is this. So check the enrage timer, it's 6:08. If I don't use Dragon Spike Mine, my Dragon Trigger will be ready at 6:02, roughly. It's with alacrity, right? At 6:02 it's ready, I can charge it, and then 1 or 2 seconds later it will just fire off. Right? And I even get the elite skill, so it charges up very fast. Here I use Dragon Spike Mine instead. And now, 6:04. 6:02 basically is when the boss becomes available and I actually unleash. So at this moment, the Dragon Trigger would have come off cooldown naturally without using Dragon Spike Mine. What instead happens now is that I don't have cartridge available. It timed out. The Payfa Relic is not active because I blinked too soon. Also still invulnerable. The boss has no vulnerability. And even though this is a fully charged Dragon Trigger, it hits only for 108k damage. In exchange, my Dragon Spike Mine is on a 12-second cooldown. And it doesn't... I can't do a good opener now. What I have to do now is I can't go to Sword Pistol, because if I go to Sword Pistol now, at the end of Sword Pistol, I can't do this Dragon Trigger, Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger combo with a double explosive cartridges setup. This wouldn't work because Dragon Spike Mine is not ready. So what I have to do now is I will stay on Gunsaber to pick up the rotation again. But this is the weak part of my opener, right? The weak part where I wait for the Dragon Spike Mine. And all of this could be avoided had I not used the Dragon Spike Mine right there for literally no benefit. But okay, let's see how I continue. I camp Gunsaber, it's fine. I Dragon Trigger. I used it a bit too late. I wasted time. Alright. I enter. I do a double Dragon Trigger. Now I don't have ammunition because I was too wasteful before. I don't have ammunition for the blinks. And this one is without Paper Relic, basically. And now, well, yeah, I get another Dragon Trigger in, so that's not that bad. At least I got that. But in this whole phase, it would have been much better had I not used my Dragon Spike Mine for no reason before. So let's watch it again. Here, the ant is not taking any damage from me anymore, so I'm not even helping. I should be just using Gun Saber skills and then set up for a clean opener on the boss with a Pistol 5 double cartridge stuff. But instead, I'm doing this stupid charge. I'm doing no damage here because without Paper Relic. Now I have to do this downtime rotation, which is just not good for damage. And now I pick up the rotation again. Then again, it's good that I picked up the rotation in this way again, and I didn't like try to improvise something, because improvising would make it much worse. Now these are at least double cartridge Dragon Triggers, so they are empowered, even though one of them lacks the Paper empowerment. So I was able to pick up the rotation again, so sort of salvage it. If you think you can do it worse, then you're correct. Because at this point, I do it worse. And I actually Dragon Spike mine, and then with 9 charges, do a dash over there. Like, let's just look. We use Dragon Trigger at 522 or 521 roughly, put it on cooldown. That means at 515 I could be charging it again on the next ad. I get 1 extra Dragon Trigger in on the next ad, right? Just 1. I can't like get 2 of them in. So by using Dragon Spike Mine here, I'm not actually gaining Dragon Trigger uses. I'm just using a skill for the sake of using it. I don't even help finishing this one off because I can't. I'm charging a Dragon Trigger. And now I use this weak Dragon Trigger there. Now I start charging the Dragon Trigger, and the boss is not getting vulnerable, of course. So I use Dragon Trigger 3. I can't use Dragon Trigger 2, or else I would get the debuff over there. So I use Dragon Trigger 3 here on this ad. And now I start the phase with 4 seconds of waiting on the Dragon Trigger. Okay, let's just pretend that this was fine, right? So what should I do now? I should go to the Sword Pistol set, press Pistol 3, Pistol 5, or Sword 3 and then Pistol 5, set up a double cartridge Dragon Trigger, Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger. What do I do instead? I use cartridges, okay. I Dragon Spike Mine when there's a 2-second cooldown on my Dragon Trigger. But this is horrible, because all it does is it saves me 2 seconds, which actually ends up mattering at the end, you will see it, which makes this phase a lot better than it deserves to be in the log. But this is so bad. I should have just went to Sword Pistol and just done Sword Pistol, clean opener, would be so much more damage being dealt, but I don't do that. Alright, now I'm on Sword Pistol, and now I have a long cooldown. What I could have done instead is stayed on Gun Saber, then done another Gun Saber rotation, and picked up from there and stuck to the Golem rotation. But no, I don't do that. I'm confused now. Why is my Dragon Spike Mine on cooldown? It should not be at this point, right? I should not have used it before. And I do a Dragon Trigger, okay. I get Dragon Spike Mine now. I do the Dragon Spike Mine, Dragon Trigger like this. And now, instead of going to Sword Pistol again, Now I think that I should probably stay on Gun Saber to recover the rotation. But why am I trying to recover the rotation when the boss is at 5% health? I shouldn't be thinking long term. I should have been thinking about the short term gain. What can I do in these last 5 seconds to improve my damage? And obviously that includes not attacking on Gun Saber with auto attacks, but actually using the sword pistol skills that are quite bursty and powerful. Then I get this last dragon trigger in right when the boss hits 1%. I only get this in because I used my mine at the start of the phase. Yeah. I didn't lose that many dragon triggers in this phase as I should have lost them. So let's return to the start of the phase to make this really clear. If I don't use Dragon Spike Mine here, everything you're going to see is a bit delayed afterwards, right? But I get a clean opening burst, like I get all the dragon triggers earlier. So the first dragon trigger is a bit slower, but the second and third dragon triggers, etc., they are faster instead. So my last dragon trigger, I wouldn't end the Gorse I on a last dragon trigger. I would end it on some other skills, having already cast the same number of dragon triggers, if that makes sense. Another thing that goes wrong here is because I'm thrown off balance, my cartridges are actually, none of them are empowered. They're all just single-use cartridges. So I'm losing a bit of damage on each dragon trigger as well, which also loses me DPS. So, yes, and the side-step X, that is good at least. To get the last dragon trigger. Now, if you had to guess which of the phases was worse, the second phase or the third phase, by my comments, you may probably think that the third phase was worse, right? I did this big mistake with the Dragon Spike Mine. But actually, in the second phase, I do less DPS than in the third phase. Because I now explained why in the third phase, in the log, I look better than I should. Because of that last dragon trigger overkilling the boss. And here, I actually just had a really bad opener, right? I had an opening dragon trigger that did just no damage. Then I had the full cooldown because Dragon Spike Mine is still on cooldown from the split. So I did a lot of downtime rotation here. And even though I recovered nicely back into the golem rotation, for the damage number, it was worse this phase. And what all of it boils down to is playing the split phase correctly. What goes on my notes for Gorse I is certainly do not use Dragon Spike Mine in the split phase unless the dragon trigger you get from it hits the ad that you're fighting currently. But like this kind of reset is wrong. Because it would just always be better to finish the ad normally, then use a dragon trigger, a fresh dragon trigger with a regular cooldown recovery on the next ad, basically. And then be on the boss with a proper Dragon Spike Mine opening. Alright? So yeah, that's basically what I can say about Gorse I. I think... Okay, I missed the CC there, I pressed Gun Saber 3. But other than that, I think I played it fine, right? I just did these mistakes that could make my damage number 1 or 2k DPS higher, had I not messed up the split phase somehow. Alright, then let's talk about Sab I. On Sab I, it's really important to manage my resources properly. And you see that later in the fight I actually run out of certain resources, and we'll talk about how to avoid that for a next pull. And in the opening, I just walk up to the boss and do a golem opener, which is pretty standard by now. I got that down very well. And here you can see me actually do my first conservation of resources. I use my blink late. Then I use elite skill, Dragon Spike Mine early without a blink. So the second dragon trigger from a range hits during Pathar Relic. And this is a key thing I need to do in order to maintain as many blink charges as possible to be able to do Pathar procs throughout the 4-minute fight. When the split ad comes, I can do classic dragon trigger, Dragon Spike Mine, dragon trigger with double cartridges as possible. And here's the first mistake. what I want to basically accomplish is that this dragon trigger here, I want to blink early, so Payfa goes on cooldown early. It has a 4-second cooldown between the blinks. I gave Payfa now, I blinked a bit late. And now I go Dragon Spike Mine. And in order to make sure that the ICD of Payfa went through, I actually wait until I'm at 10 charges and then blink. But this is just a bad idea because it wastes time, right? I only blink now and unleash the dragon trigger. And this just wastes time and puts the dragon trigger on cooldown late, etc. And I think I wasted at least 1 second. Let's just rewind this. You can see me just stand at full ammunition for 1 second. And not blinking earlier at 8 because I used my Payfa blink too late on the first round. So yeah, that's just a mistake that kind of translates to 8 seconds later. And now I even get a bomb, which I have to carry out, which is not good. But I then managed to continue the rotation, which is okay. Blink to the left so I don't get flame walled. That's good. Now I don't have a Payfa charge anymore, which is bad. I might have been able to like conserve a blink at some point. And we continue the rotation. And here is a pretty disappointing dragon trigger. It only does 160k damage. And if you look at our bar, it's because I don't have a charge of cartridges. So let's watch what happened. I give myself a cartridge charge, okay. I'm at 5 charges, now at 3. 3 is the ideal number to have during sword pistol. So I can do cartridge, do dragon trigger, dragon spike mine, dragon trigger, which is exactly 3 explosion attacks. So it just gives me what I need. But what I do instead is I press cartridges and immediately press F2, cancelling the cartridge. And then it just runs out during this part. And now, to make matters worse, I expend a Payfa stack, okay? And another pistol 5. I even waited longer. And all of this is just without any cartridges. It's another 160k dragon trigger. So both of those should have been 180, 190k roughly. Should have actually been double charged ones, super empowered. And instead they are just these disappointing dragon triggers. And they cost me like two dragon trigger 5s, which I'm now missing for the next sequence. Although I do get my elite up, so I should be fine on blink management for now. And here I had blink, which means it charges faster. But I'm actually not unleashing it any faster. If you watch closely, I wait until I'm at 10 ammunition and only then I blink and use it. I should have been faster with that. But okay, it gets much worse on the next dragon trigger. I go into dragon trigger. And now I should blink on top of Knuckles in order to Dragon Spike mine fluently afterwards. But instead I blink to the left. And here I don't have ammunition. So this is just something where I messed up before, requiring one more blink basically. And now I'm out of range. And I have 2 options, or rather 3 options. I could dash, I could Dragon Trigger 3, which is not that good. Or I could not do anything. I could blink, but I don't have blink. So what I end up doing is I end up Dragon Trigger 1 for absolutely no value. Like it just misses. Now the boss respawns and we get knocked up. Alright, now that I'm recovered here. Wasn't ideal, but okay. Recovered. What I should do now is I should now go to sword pistol and restart the loop, right? But instead, I will use Dragon Spike Mine, stay on Gun Saber, And now I have a long cooldown on Dragon Spike Mine. So what I do instead is I stay on Gun Saber again to make it line up to the Golem rotation again, which is again a mistake. But at least it gets me back to the rotation. And I do another Dragon Trigger. And now, like, if you rewind back to where Knuckles was, we are on Gun Saber right now. We messed this up. We stay on Gun Saber. And this is like 30 seconds just of Gun Saber camping. And my Pistol 5 and my Sword 3 would be ready to use, and I'm not using them. And I'm still camping Gun Saber. So yeah, not ideal. But alright, let's continue. So what I'm trying to do now is I try to pick up the Golem rotation again. So I am on Sword Pistol. And I'm doing Golem stuff, so I get the empowered cartridges. I don't have a pay farm for this one. It runs out just before I unleash it, unfortunately. But at least I'm doing Golem rotation again. I blink a bit late, so I stay in Dragon Trigger too long. But it's fine, to be honest. And now I want to finish that Dragon Trigger before she goes invulnerable. And I can immediately cleave the ad. Should have blinked a bit earlier again. This actually has me worried about the cartridge stack. Let's quickly see this. Yep, that might have run out before it hit. Maybe. Alright, but now I stand in the flamethrower. Alright. We are on Sword Pistol, we do the Golem rotation. So far, so good. What you want to look at is my flow management now. Because I'm nearly out of flow here. So what I have to do next is I have to regain that flow. Alright, I press my elite, gets me another ammunition. So I can use my flow. And with my elite, my next Dragon Trigger is very cheap to get, okay? And I get this for very cheap. And here I press another flow stabilizer. And this is key. I'm at this much flow with a very cheap Dragon Trigger coming up. I press 2 flow stabilizers in a row. We have +7 flow regeneration right now. And here I'm at maximum flow in the charge up. But I still have a lot of regen. And I used my last charge of this, so in the future I will have very little regeneration. So when I use my cartridge into Dragon Trigger right now, and now a Dragon Spike Mine, I have no flow generation, I have like one stack only. And I run out. Here I was at 8 charges and I only hit for 95k. So very quickly, even though this one is quite decent from me, I do quite a bit of DPS. There's still so many low-hanging fruits to improve available for the picking, basically. And you can only find this stuff if you actually watch what you're doing, if you actually take the time to look for feedback and work on improving. And this maybe brings me back to what I said at the beginning. I said that we're just going to look at my own gameplay here. I'm not going to look at the rest of the squad, what they are doing. Like all the problems I had on Gorse I with Dragon Triggers not being useful, like because I waited for Gorse I to become vulnerable, would obviously be fixed if the other group were a bit faster with their split ad. Or here on Sab I, Knuckles doesn't knock us up if the support CC him. Or it doesn't knock us up if it just dies to damage from other players, right? But this is sort of a moot point to make when you are in pickup groups, because in pickup groups you just have a group, hopefully get boons from them if you're a DPS player, and then you just deal with the hand that you're dealt, basically. Just try to do the best out of it. And don't fall into the trap of starting to make excuses for your own mistakes based on what other people are doing, right? Here, when I don't have flow, okay, it would be quite hard to blame someone else for that, but I could still be like, oh, I was very unfortunate that I didn't have flow, or oh, something might have been bugged that I don't have flow, or whatever else. Like, I could not investigate the cause of this, and then I would never improve. And this is just something, personally, I find important, that you are able to be critical of your own gameplay, and you're always focused on what you yourself could have done better. Even though you might be doing quite a bit of damage, you could do more, right? But yeah. So this is it with log review or POV review. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something about Bladesworn, about DPS, about doing feedback, about improvements. And I see you next time. Thanks for watching.